Imagine a world where the ground trembles beneath the weight of creatures that no longer exist. Straight-tusked elephants towering twice the size of modern African giants. Cave lions prowling the misty shadows with eyes sharp as knives. And woolly rhinoceroses charging through frozen meadows. It's 48,000 years ago in what we now call southern Germany. The air is cold, damp, thick with the smell of pine and blood. A lone cave lion, its fur golden and matted from old battles, lies in the pale sunlight, unbothered. But it's not alone. Just beyond the tree line, a group of stocky, quiet figures moves like shadows. Their breath frosts in the air, their eyes focused, their flint-tipped spears glinting in the low light. In a single, silent motion, a spear whistles through the clearing. It hits its mark. The lion lets out one final roar before collapsing. This isn't just survival. It's strategy. It's power. And it marks a moment in history when Neanderthals, long mocked as grunting, mindless brutes, rose as the most dominant predators in all of Eurasia. And yet, as we know, they would vanish not long after. But why? What did they conquer? And what ultimately conquered them? Stay with us as we uncover the truth. And don't forget to subscribe to Prehistoric Medievals for more journeys into our forgotten past. For decades, the Neanderthal story was misunderstood. Popular imagination reduced them to club-wielding cavemen, dim, slow, unthinking. But today, that image is dead. Archaeology and science have unearthed something much more human. Neanderthals were anything but primitive. Their brains were as large as ours. They planned, hunted in teams, shared tools, passed knowledge. They wore eagle talons as jewelry and may have even buried their dead with care. In the icy chaos of the Pleistocene, these were not the last-place survivors. They were the rulers. And when you step into their world, you begin to see just how dominant they truly were. If you're enjoying this dive into our prehistoric past, make sure to hit that subscribe button. There's more like this coming. Eurasia, during the Neanderthal reign, was brutal. Forests stretched for miles, interrupted by icy steppes and open tundras. Mammoths roamed in massive herds, tusks curling like crescent moons. Straight-tusked elephants, 13-ton giants, moved through clearings like walking fortresses. Cave bears hibernated in high grottos, and cave lions, larger than any big cat alive today, ruled the food chain. And yet, Neanderthals weren't just part of this food chain, they were at the top of it. They didn't just scavenge, they hunted, relentlessly. They weren't chasing rabbits or fishing in streams, they were targeting the largest, most dangerous prey on the planet. Their bodies were short, powerful, and adapted for cold. Their broad noses warmed frigid air before it hit their lungs. Their muscles packed more force per inch than any modern human. And most importantly, they knew how to work together.
One remarkable discovery in Germany paints the clearest picture. Archaeologists found a site dated to 125,000 years ago, where Neanderthals had hunted straight-tusked elephants. Dozens of elephant skeletons lay scattered, bearing unmistakable marks of flint tools, cutting, carving, stripping flesh. This wasn't scavenging. This was coordinated assault. These elephants were nearly 3 times the weight of a T-Rex, and yet the Neanderthals managed to isolate older, solitary males, the ones easiest to surround. It would have taken 20 or more Neanderthals to bring down a single elephant, but the reward was massive. One kill could feed 100 people for over a month. Even the footpads loaded with fat were harvested. That kind of planning, that kind of cooperation, is not the work of savages. It's the behavior of apex predators. If you're finding this as fascinating as we do, now's a good time to subscribe to Prehistoric Medievals. There's so much more ahead. Their weapons were basic by modern standards, sharp wooden spears tipped with flint, but deadly when used in close-quarters ambush. Unlike Homo sapiens, who would later perfect the bow and arrow, Neanderthals specialized in stealth and shock. They waited, they watched, and then they struck with brute precision. Evidence shows they didn't stop at herbivores. A 2023 study of a 48,000-year-old cave lion skeleton revealed a lethal spear wound alongside cut marks from butchering. That lion had been hunted and eaten. It wasn't just food, it was conquest. The claws may have been taken as trophies or status symbols. These weren't just hunters, they were warriors of the Ice Age. But every rise has a cost. And for the Neanderthals, it was their very strength that would eventually lead to their downfall. Before we dive into what brought about their end, take a second and subscribe to Prehistoric Medievals if you haven't already. Your support helps keep these stories alive, and the past has a lot more to say.
Their strength was unmatched, but it came with limits. Neanderthals had mastered the art of hunting giants, but that mastery made them inflexible. Their bodies and tools were designed for ambush, for brute power, for a world dominated by mammoths and elephants. But the world was changing. Around 44,000 years ago, climate instability began reshaping the environment. Dense forests gave way to open grasslands. Temperatures fluctuated wildly. The big game they relied on, mammoths, woolly rhinos, and straight-tusked elephants, began to vanish. In this shifting world, the very traits that had once made Neanderthals invincible turned into liabilities. They had built their survival on the back of a delicate ecosystem. When it cracked, they fell with it. And that's a lesson we'd be wise to remember. If you're still with us, make sure to subscribe to Prehistoric Medievals. We've only scratched the surface of what their story can teach us. But there was another factor that emerged around the same time. Us. Homo sapiens arrived in Eurasia roughly 50,000 years ago. Tall, lean, built for endurance. We weren't stronger, but we were more adaptable. We could hunt from a distance using projectile weapons like the bow and arrow. We had more varied diets, eating plants, small game, even insects if we had to. Our caloric needs were lower. And most importantly, we had flexibility. The fossil record reveals a gradual but decisive shift. As Homo sapiens spread across the continent, Neanderthal remains became rarer. It wasn't necessarily violent. There's very little evidence of direct conflict. But it was competition, silent and relentless. In the same way wolves are pushed aside by coyotes in modern ecosystems, Neanderthals were outcompeted by a more versatile species. And slowly, generation by generation, they disappeared. Just like that. If you want more stories like this, about lost species, ancient conflicts, and the delicate balance of survival, don't forget to subscribe to Prehistoric Medievals. We've got more on the way. The last known Neanderthal sites date to about 40,000 years ago. After that, silence. Their tools vanish. Their bones vanish. But the story doesn't end there. In fact, it continues in us. Modern DNA studies show that nearly everyone of non-African descent carries Neanderthal genes. That means our ancestors didn't just outcompete them, they interbred with them. There wasn't just rivalry, there was connection, maybe even understanding. A Neanderthal didn't disappear overnight. It blended into the lineage of the humans who now walk the earth. That's why their story still echoes in our bones. And that's why we tell it. Subscribe to Prehistoric Medievals and help us keep these echoes alive.
But there's a deeper message here, one that feels more urgent with each passing year. The Neanderthals weren't just victims of evolution, they were victims of fragility. Their downfall mirrors that of modern apex predators. Polar bears losing ice, tigers losing forests, wolves losing prey. Being at the top is never safe. It's a balance built on countless variables: climate, food, competition. The moment any of those shift, the whole system wobbles. That's what happened to the Neanderthals, and it could happen to us. In a world growing warmer, more crowded, and more unpredictable, their story is a warning. Adapt or vanish. Strength without flexibility is a trap. Let's go back one last time. A frozen valley, 48,000 years ago. A young Neanderthal crouches behind a boulder, his breath shallow, eyes locked on a grazing rhino. His people have done this for generations. Every movement is ritual, passed down like language. But change is coming. The animals are fewer now, the nights colder, the competition fiercer. He doesn't know it, but his world is ending. And yet he hunts, not with fear, but with purpose. That is the legacy of the Neanderthals. Not just muscle and tools, but the will to survive in a world that never stops changing. And that legacy lives on, in our DNA, in our history, and in the lessons we can still learn from them. Thanks for watching. If this journey through the Ice Age stirred something in you, subscribe to Prehistoric Medievals and join us as we explore more forgotten chapters of human history. Until next time, adapt, endure, and always keep one eye on the past. It's got a lot more to teach than you think.